It is a wonderful thing that if you know the Word and simply believe and teach to yourself and your children the simple, straightforward sentences of the Bible, you will spare yourself hundreds of follies in every generation. If you just take simple sentences of the Bible, believe them, and build them into yourself and your family or friends, you and they will be spared so many detours, so many rabbit trails. And what's so remarkable about this, and the reason it hits me the way it does, is that for this to happen, for this kind of liberation of your life in every generation to happen, you do not need to be an expert in the latest philosophical fad or the latest psychological angle on behavior or the latest trend in morality. You don't need to become an expert on all the contemporary challenges and thus figure them out and then avoid them or join them. All you need to do is read and apply some really simple, straightforward sentences in the Bible. So ordinary Christians, I'm arguing, if they just read their Bibles, meditate on their Bibles, teach their Bibles to their kids, apply their Bibles to their friends, with simple, straightforward sentences in the Bible, they will be spared many trendy detours that sound so up to date and so compelling and like everybody's getting on the bandwagon and lead to death for many people. And I find this so encouraging, because if I had to figure out every new fad that came along in every academic sphere, or all morality, or all entertainment, or all media, or all academia, so that I could posture myself appropriately with regard to each one, I'd just go under. There's no way. You can't keep up with all the error in the world. So how do you live your life? There ought to be some Christians who keep up. That's why there ought to be Christian colleges and universities and book writers and scholars. They ought to be keeping up. They ought to be reading. They ought to be responding, writing books, writing articles. But the vast majority of Christians have to have another way. We can't do that. And I'm saying it is wonderful that if you take the simple, straightforward, everybody can understand these sentences and believe them and teach them, you will build into your mind and the mind of your loved ones, especially your kids I'm thinking about, a vision of reality, a world view that frees them from 1,000 errors they never had to get to know. Let me try to illustrate that now with this message. Here we are at verse 9 in chapter 12. We looked at the first half of the verse last time, and we're going to look at the second half of the verse this time. So let's read the whole verse. Let love be genuine. This is Romans 12:9. Let love be genuine. That's what we talked about last week. Abhor what is evil. Hold fast to what is good. So now my point is that if you think, pray, and obey your way down into that phrase, abhor what is evil, hold fast to what is good, you will be liberated from 100 follies, dead-end streets, detours, poisons of every age that comes along. So let's do that together tonight. Let's sink our minds down into this phrase. I have 5 observations. And let me stop here and say again, the great thing about being an ordinary Christian is that you don't have to be an expository preacher in order to benefit from sentences like this. I think my job in this pulpit is not to do what you can't do, but to hasten it and deepen it. In other words, if you just took this verse and dwelt on it for a few minutes, or let's just say a lifetime, it would have an effect in your life that would be God's appointed effect. And it would be wonderful if nobody exposited it for you. That's the way the Word of God is. And so you might say, well, why do we need to come here and hear you then? Well, you don't have to. But I think God has ordained that there be a preaching ministry which simply ramps up or hastens that effect of the Word and sends it deeper. And that's worth my job, I think. I wouldn't do it if I didn't think it was worth it. So let's go. I've got 5 observations. Number 1, there is such a thing as objective good and objective evil outside of myself. That's first observation I see. When Paul says, abhor what is evil and hold fast, embrace what is good, he's rejecting the notion that evil is defined by what I abhor. And he's rejecting the notion that good is defined by what I like and hold on to. He's rejecting that kind of subjectivity that makes me the definer of good. What I like is good, what I don't like is bad. He's rejecting that very clearly by saying, abhor, bring your emotions into conformity to what's out there called evil. And so if you teach these verses, or this verse right here, to your children, they will absorb a worldview that says there is such a thing as evil and there is such a thing as good, and I promise you that will spare them 1,000 tragedies. Isn't that simple? I mean, you may not even think to say to your kid at any point, Talitha, there is such a thing as good. And there is such a thing as evil. You do not need to say that. That would be a good, profound, philosophical thing to say. But that will be so clear if you just read this verse. Abhor the evil, hold fast to the good. You say that often enough to a kid over the years, the kid just absorbs, there's such a thing as evil, there's such a thing as good. That is massively important. In our day, that is massively important. So simple and so massively important. We called it a world view, right? You are building a world view into your children or yourself as you simply say and meditate upon biblical sentences like that. Evil is not what you want it to be. Good is not what you want it to be. Liking something doesn't make it good. Hating something doesn't make it evil. There is reality out there called good, called evil. You don't make it that way. Hugely important view of reality that is woven into the Bible. And so a simple mom and a simple dad reading this truth over and over again to the family will build a world view that will be so helpful for the living of your life. Now I see this in the phrase, abhor what is evil, hold fast to what is good. In other words, evil doesn't change and good doesn't change. We change. He's talking to my heart here. He's saying, Piper heart, if you like what is evil, change. Abhor it. And if you don't like what is good, change. Cleave to it. You see what he's doing? He's saying, you are the subject. This is the object. It's out there. It doesn't change. Get yourself changed into conformity with that. That's a worldview millions of people in America do not embrace. And if you don't embrace that, you can't make any sense out of the Bible, out of reality, out of good and evil. And now let's ask this. What makes good good? Or ask it another way. How does it come about that there is such a thing as good? Out there, objective. You say, that's good, I don't like it. Or that's good, I like it. It's there, it doesn't change. My likes don't affect it. It's there, it's good or evil. Where did that come from? Now, this verse does not tell us that, but you don't have to look far. Verse 2. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. See, we're the ones who get changed. Reality is reality. We have to adjust to God and reality.